Welcome to the New Rugged Order podcast, exclusively on the Hard Knock Digital Culture channel. Now give it up to your host, people, MM2K.
Yo! What is up, people? What is up, people? What is up, people? It is your boy, MM2K of PNTS Network and Hard Knock Digital Culture, back again with another episode of NRO Live or NRO Podcast. You know what I'm saying? This is a show where we talk about the latest and greatest in the week of AAA genre-defining gaming news. And boy, do we have a doozy for you today. I want to say this. I want to put out a disclaimer. You know what I'm saying? I definitely want to put out a disclaimer. And in order to put out that disclaimer, let me do this. Let me do this. Let me put this out here. This is my intro, and this is our disclaimer. Is it out there? Okay. All right. There goes the disclaimer. If you are someone who gets upset because platforms are held accountable for the things that they do in deceiving and not fulfilling promises to consumers, if that upsets you, or if you are someone who likes when things that happen to a platform are over exaggerated, you don't care if there's lies being put to a platform, as long as that platform is beat down to make your platform look better. Like if you hold a separate standard for platform A versus platform B, you have a bias that it's not just we all have biases, but if you have a bias that you think should be applied to all gamers, if you're one of those people, you're going to have a hard time with today's show. Because I have a case of righteous indignation when it comes to these platforms and to things happening with studios and games and how games are being talked about. The community in general. I have this righteous indignation to me today that I'm not holding back. I mean, besides, I'm not going to be swearing and cursing or anything like that. This ain't going to be one of those podcasts, but I'm not holding back in what I criticize and how I criticize and how I describe things, the adjectives that I use to describe things, because, you know, I think we're out of, this is the coming to Jesus moment once again that we need as a community. I'm sick of the bull crap. As a gamer for 35 plus years, yes, I am going to tote that righteous indignation today. We have a lot of new gamers that come in for whatever, new gamers that have come in because they see things going on with Xbox and Game Pass is making gaming more accessible to them. Or maybe they just saw PlayStation or Switch or whatever, and now they want to hop in, or they see the fervor that's happening on Twitter and now they want to be part of that fervor. Whatever the reason is, you don't come into somebody's house, and I am claiming partial ownership of this house. I am playing gatekeeper. Yes, I am. I'm playing gatekeeper this episode because of fellow gamers like myself that help build what the gaming community is today. We were doing this when people didn't think it was cool, when it wasn't cool to be a gamer. We spilled blood. I'm getting on my soapbox. We spilled blood for this sport. For you dweebs to come in here today, do all this sidestepping of issues and concerns, all this over exaggeration on this side, sidestepping this, all for the sake of brand loyalty. It's got to stop. We're going to do our part to stop it today. We have some topics, man. Oh God. Again, you get heartburn or a case of the butt hurts Because you're not a fan of accountability. Get your Pepto, because you're going to need it this episode. All right. We got 4 major topics. We're going to be talking about Xbox and Forza. We're going to be talking about PlayStation and these quote unquote Naughty Dog layoffs. We're going to be giving our official Starfield impression. And then lastly, we're going to be talking about 1P versus 2P and 3P. There's a big debate about, 1P is better than 2P, 3P, whatever. We're going to talk about that. But before we get into that, I want to remind everybody, shout out to Cold Blood Sensei in the house for subscribing for 16 months. That's my bro. That's my bro from another ma. I just want to announce to everybody, if you're not aware, Batissimo is our new streaming partner tool set site, whatever you want to call it. And we have a page where you can go and do a lot of stuff via our Batissimo site. We now have loyalty points. So now you can go and, because simply just for watching, you can obtain and accumulate loyalty points. You can go and now use those loyalty points to say, yo, Moss, I need you to stop what you're doing, bucko. And I need you to pay attention to the guy over here, right? Or Moss, I deserve a shout out. And anybody that's been watching our content and being faithful to the content, you definitely do deserve a shout out. So you get to, for your loyalty, you get to use your points for things like that. Vote in polls, what games we're going to play. We had a hell of a stream earlier where we played God of War. Had a lot of fun with God of War Ragnarok. I can't wait to do that again. We're going to be doing that every Friday. So definitely join us on those streams on MM2K Gaming on YouTube. But if you want to select the PlayStation game that I'm going to play, use your loyalty points towards that. And there's more coming. Those are just the 3 things for the rollout. But definitely gain those loyalty points by watching the content, whether you're watching this live on Twitch, the day that it airs, Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Just for today, normally we're going to air this at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, but I had a meeting with my son's school. You know what I mean? So that's what pushed up, and I forgot all about it. But this normally airs at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Fridays, and then it's going to be replayed on YouTube so we can preserve it and keep it in the ethos on Sundays at 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's when it's NRO podcast. But when we do it live, this is NRO live because you get to interact and all other stuff. So whether you're watching it live, on demand, or if you want to just simply go and support the platform, go to our Batissimo site. So I'm going to type that in right now. Support the platform. Vote on games to play. What's the word I'm looking for? Accumulate and spend loyalty points all through our new Batissimo site. And there it goes. So we're going to put that in the chat. And I'm going to pin this. So again, if you've accumulated points and you're like, yo, shout me out, message will come on the screen. I'm gonna stop what I'm doing. But that perk is for our subscribers that watch on a regular basis. that are accumulating those hours. So if you want to get the same perks that they do, keep watching and go to our Petissimo site. All right. So that's it. Thank you for that. Also, what I cannot neglect to do is I cannot neglect to ignore this. Let me show you something. I haven't done that in a long time. This is our MM2K. Oh, this is the PNTS Network website. And if you go here to MM2K Gaming, you'll get to see my page where we talk about being powered by Petissimo right here. And you can go to the Petissimo link right there from the site, or you can watch the stream from there. This is us right now. Wow. Then you can also catch my latest content. Like I said, we had a great God of War Ragnarok stream. Now, I did go through a little bit of a rant through the stream. That's why we call these play sessions instead of just, particular stream. But check it out. God of War Ragnarok, episode 7 of our playthrough. Definitely check it out here. And then all of our other links are right there too. You can check us out. All right. So with that said, that was our intro and our disclaimer. I see everybody in the chat. We see our homie Cold Blood Sensei in the chat. Shout out to him. He's been rocking out with us all day. But then we got Bulls for Life. He says, "What's up? What's up, Bulls? It's good to see you." Cold Blood says, "Crap Gamer in Paris podcast win." Ha! Will do, my dude, says Bulls for Life. And oh yeah. And the Nightbot put it out there, get them loyalty points and all that stuff. Definitely. Paul Gamer is back. What's up, Paul? Good to see you, good brother. All right. Now, let's get into today's show. Topic number 1 is going to be Xbox and Forza Motorsport. So for those of you that have been living under a rock, this is what's been going on with Forza Motorsport. Hold on. Paul G said, I've been looking, he said, what are they crying about? No. This is, I think this is when they do their show. Shout out to them dudes. And I gotta get with Sean too, because I'm ready to do my martial arts podcast. And Sean said he would rock out with that. Shout out to them dudes over there. All right. So Forza Motorsport launched, and there have been a bevy of issues with it, bugs, things like that people have reported. And critics have looked at the game, and it's currently, I think the Metacritic score is like 84. I think that's the second lowest of a motorsport game. I could be wrong, but it's either the second lowest or or just of the lower tier of motorsport scores, or Forza's game scores in a long time, right? And a lot of people are looking at this and they're like, well, hold on now. 2023 was supposed to be Xbox's breakout year. We heard Phil Spencer himself say they're going to be doing, now you're going to see games of quality every quarter. So at the very least, when you hear something like that from the head of a game department, you're going to think, okay, we're going to start seeing better games than we normally have at an increased cadence. And the games that we are familiar with, those are going to be better too, right? And we have some things that are happening now in the periphery for Xbox that are the antithesis of all that. They don't add up to that promise. So my question right now that I want to answer, is this signs of Xbox turning down the quality to meet a cadence? Well, where's that coming from? First and foremost, We had the last three big launch titles. They either have been, they felt incomplete. The most consistent thing with the three biggest launches of Xbox in this time period to where they're now launching things of quality, they felt incomplete. How so? Well, do we even need to talk about Redfall? Now, there's been talks about Redfall online that there's a performance mode right now. But when did Redfall launch? Didn't Redfall launch in like March? Let's look that up. When Redfall launch? Oh, that was May 1st. So Redfall launched May 1st. This is October the 6th. So 6 months later, they finally have a performance mode for the game that the head of Xbox Gaming introduced himself, I believe, at XO19. It wasn't Arcane. It wasn't even Todd. It wasn't Pete Hines. It was the head of Xbox Gaming who introduced this game to us. That within itself, and he closed the show out with this game. That within itself speaks volumes as far as the quality that we should expect with this game. Not no because it's in Game Pass, because as we already know, everybody that has an Xbox doesn't prescribe to Game Pass even. And every Xbox user isn't a Game Pass subscriber. So you can't say, well, it's in Game Pass. Most people that are interacting with Xbox content are not doing it through Game Pass regularly. Starfield might be the first exception, because I truly believe that for Starfield, most people are interacting with that game via Game Pass. But most people that interact with Xbox content are not doing it via Game Pass, because everybody that has an Xbox doesn't have Game Pass. So, that being said, using the excuse, well, it's in Game Pass, doesn't matter, because you decided to charge $70 for this game as it's a Prime Premier title. And even the staunchest supporters of the game, like, there's fun to be had here, man. Even they say, no, the game's not worth $70. Even they say that, right? So you had that. Then you have Starfield, which I will be, and again, I'm not going to get into the whole kit and caboodle. I got a lot to say about Starfield later in the show, but I will say this: Starfield is not a horrible game or a bad game. And I'm not just saying that subjectively. I'm basing this off of general consensus. When you look at scores, when you talk to people, I don't hear too many people say, for the most part, that Starfield is a horrible game. What they say, though, is that in comparison to how it was highlighted and hyped up, it is very mediocre. And that's just not coming from me. That is coming from the bevy of Xbox supporters who now, after quote unquote holding the line, are now coming out and saying, yes, Starfield can be boring. Starfield wasn't the game of the generation that Xbox needed. This is coming from the staunchest Xbox supporters, not me. This was the game that was that Phil and company were cutting the yellow tape for, to say, now welcome to the new Xbox. We're winning NPD. We got 1 billion users. Sony's out of business. That was supposed to be starting because of Starfield. Starfield, granted, has a lot of activity because of the hype. Like Cyberpunk when it launched, because of the hype, it had a mass amount of people flock to it to try. I gotta play this thing. This thing has been talked about game of the generation, or in Cyberpunk's case, it's been talked about for 13 years, or not there. How long was I think Cyberpunk was like 13 years in the making. This is 25 years in the making, according to Bethesda. Like those games were ultra hyped. So of course it's going to get a lot of attention. And in the case of Starfield, even though there were some concerns with the 30 frames per second only on consoles or whatever, it is available in Game Pass, $15, $10, whatever. So that makes accessibility to it a lot more plausible. There's a lot less at risk if I could just try this thing for $10, $15. So of course, under those circumstances, I remember having arguments with people in certain DMs. I'm like, look, this thing is going to do gangbusters as far as engagement on PC. I honestly expected more sales that a lot of the estimates are showing, but I surmised that it was going to get a lot of engagement on PC. It looks to be still getting a lot of engagement on console as well. I didn't expect much plausible activity on console that is substantial. Like telling me, oh, there's so many million people playing Starfield on console, right? Means nothing in that context alone. How many of those, because there's 25 to 30 million people on Game Pass altogether, right? It's estimated that maybe 10 to 15 million might be on console, right? So telling me that half or a quarter of that population simply just booted up a game that is in a service that they're already paying for, that's not impressive enough. It's impressive if we hear that let's say 5 million new Game Pass subscribers. And then B, those 5 million didn't just finesse the game for $10, $15. They actually stayed on for about 3 months. That's impressive. But that's a two-tier thing. So if we do find out that there are 5 million or more new Game Pass subscribers based upon Starfield, and those Game Pass subscribers stay rooted in the platform, like they didn't finesse the game for $10, $15, then that's a victory in that regards, in regards to turning things around potentially for Game Pass. Not blowing the roof off like they, not the ribbon cutting ceremony that they tried to proclaim, but maybe this thing isn't headed for the crapper after all. Maybe there is some light at the end of the tunnel. And I know a lot of PlayStation enthusiasts or zealots or whatever you want to call them may argue me on it. How is that a victory? It's not. Y'all got to stop looking at things in such black and white terms. Like there is nuance, there's gray. Just because it's a victory for Game Pass, it's not a victory over PlayStation. It's a victory. It's life snatched from the jaws of defeat. That's a victory. Whenever you have a situation where you're headed in the wrong direction and then something propels you in the right direction, that's a victory against you continuing to fall down a rabbit hole. So that's why it would be a victory for Xbox. And we'll see. Time will tell. We'll find out if there were a substantial amount of new subscribers. We'll know by what Xbox tells us and don't tell us. And then we'll see if those new subscribers are sustained. If both things happen, then that's a victory for Xbox. But it's not as glaring, as paramount as it's been made to seem. Why? Because we can just look at the user scores. This thing has general consensus of mediocrity written all over it when you look at all the user scores. Not Metacritic. I ain't even going to Metacritic. Because Metacritic, look, the way that was doled out was purposely misleading. Why? Because Microsoft constructed it that way. They ensured that all of the best reviews would be there first. So they went to all of the platforms that they were very comfortable with would give it the best reviews, either good or glaring. And what they did is they let those good or glaring reviews hang out there, which unfortunately for them resulted in less than a 9 score. I think their hopes were, if we do it this way, probably get low 9s, mid to low 9s, and it was less than 9 by doing that. So they already probably started in a place a lot lower than they wanted, just by filtering out and only allowing good to fantastic good scores to be displayed first. But what that does psychologically to anybody viewing this whole process is when the other scores come in, when the more plausibly general populace scores come in, it makes it look like that those new scores are now hating on the game because they're coming in after the fact and they're dragging down the score. Instead of just allowing everybody to say what they have to say about the game all at the same damn time. Now that you've done that, you may have allowed yourself a little bit more time of victory laps before the commission comes in and says, we reviewed the tape, give back the medal. You know what I'm saying? And what it does long-term systemically is you can't be trusted. Fool me once, shame on you. But now you have a situation to where even Xbox enthusiasts holding the line the best that they can, they just drop the line. They're like, we can't do this anymore. We can't do this. We're done. And so then they moved on to Forza. And look, even though there are a lot of people that, again, play Forza and appreciate, and Forza is the darling of racing. Like, I'm not a big racer. I've spent some time with Forza, not a whole bunch of time, you know, compared it to Gran Turismo. I never been a big Gran Turismo fan. I never understood the allure with Gran Turismo. Honestly, it's racers past 2000. I've never been big on racers past 2000. Maybe if I'm intoxicated and someone got a big wheel in the house, I'll get on the wheel, right? Play around with it. But after the buzz goes away, I'm like, what the hell am I doing? Like I've never been I haven't been enthralled with racers in a long time, right? Since Outrun. What was that on Sega? I ain't been enthralled with racers since Outrun. Yeah, I'm telling my age there. But even I conceded. Forza is the darling of racing, right? So any effort, even though Gran Turismo may have a bigger, more dedicated fan base because the lineage of what the game has, and because PlayStation generally sells more units, even though from game to game, after you give it some time, several months, a year later, Gran Turismo games might have more dedicated sales and usage and hours put into it than Forza, even with Game Pass in certain scenarios, more often than not. Even though that may be the case, it's like Forza is still the darling of racing. Forza is the model, is the role model for racing. So any effort that Gran Turismo puts out, Forza is going to outdo it. So when we hear all this ribbon cutting talk about Xbox, this is the green wave and all this stuff, and Redfall falls flat, Starfield was overhyped, but we got Forza. So even though Forza might not have the footprint, the reach with the gaming populace that we may like, despite its quality, we can at least land the year. We can end the year on a good note, right? Wrong. In the words of the late great Charlie Murphy, wrong. Why do I say wrong? Because even though The score is like, I think right now an 85, which isn't a bad score in that singular context, not at all. But this is supposed to be if there's anything that speaks to there being a speckle of high genre defining quality at Xbox, it's always Forza. It's always Forza. So yeah, Gears may fall short, this one may fall short or whatever, but ain't no denying Forza. Now that's gone. And then to kick dirt in the face, a game that's 2 years older and what has generally been conceived as the lesser quality title, Gran Turismo. Gran Turismo actually scores higher than Forza. Is this Xbox's version of launching at quality every quarter? Before I go any further, let's talk to the chat. They were upset about the Forza review score. Look, okay, it is what it is, man. It is what it is. Look, if with this narrative, and I remember, shout out to my brother 706 Gamer, right? Shout out to him. I remember back in my Xbox Zealot days, or my Xbox fanboy days. I won't say Zealot because Zealot would mean that I excused everything, and I didn't. I believed the rhetoric. I peddled the rhetoric because I was going off the basis that, hey, whenever Xbox talks about they're going to improve this or they're going to technically enhance this, they've always come through. They came through with the OG. They definitely came through with the 360. It's the same company. Why? I mean, it's a different regime, but why should that matter? I didn't understand how radically changed internally they would be in their approach to gaming. And the competency that was therefore thwarted as well. I didn't understand that. So I had no precedence in understanding how much of a decline it would be. And so, yeah, I was just going off of precedence. But when I was doing that in my Xbox fanboy days, I did a stream with my bro Noah, 706 Gamer. Shout out to him. And we were doing live reaction to Gears 5 because we knew Gears. I just knew it. It's like Gears 5. It's gonna be grand. It's gonna be the stuff. Xbox finally got its 90 plus Metacritic game, right? I just wanted them to have their 90 Metacritic game. And while we were watching the reviews come in, and we saw that Forza was going to land, not Forza, Gears 5 was going to land, like 85, 86, 87? We were infuriated. Media bias! Why do they hate Xbox? Oh my God! Xbox. And I remember myself saying, and I didn't take down the stream because I want the history to be there. Because I want people to understand I can relate to a lot of this blind, I hate the pony rage that people go through in excusing Xbox. Because I went through it too. I went through that phase too. I said out of my own mouth, now they could have given Forza a 90. They could have given, I repeat, I said out my own mouth, they could have given they could have given Gears a 90. Not that Gears deserved a 90, that it earned it. They could have given. So even if it's not a 90, they could have deceived fellow gamers that rely on this information when they're on the fence making gaming decisions. I was okay with that because I wanted my brand of choice to be put on the pedestal, whether they earned it or not. I said, they could have given it. It's good enough. I said that out of my own mouth. So that's what we have a lot. That's what we have happening a lot here. I can sympathize with it. It is what it is. And Forza didn't get the score that represents what it is to the average gamer, because it didn't deserve it. Well, how can I say that without playing the game? Because Xbox gamers are saying it. We have some of the biggest Xbox trolls and fanboys saying, I'm okay with the score. Because guess what? It is buggy. It is lacking this. It is not to the usual standard. We have people that through every crevice, every stretch of the imagination, on Twitter every day, skew things in the favor of Xbox, regardless of facts, that are coming down and saying, yes, this falls short of the greatness in regards to racing that Forza is known for. It is what it is. You gotta earn it. You gotta earn it. And even if there is a bias, when you're focused on quality and you hit that target, the end result is so granular that even your haters gotta love you. Damn, I hate this. I can't, it'll look foolish for your haters to deny you. That's what Xbox needs to put out. That's how they earn it. If everybody is hating on Xbox, I see the opposite. I see Xbox getting away with incomplete stuff and people grading on the curve for them. Like I said earlier in my stream, my God of War stream, when I hit my rant, I actually had a conversation with an Xbox enthusiast where we were comparing the PlayStation May showcase, which a lot of PlayStation gamers were mad about as well, to the Xbox showcase. And I said, look, Starfield showcase fantastic. It did. It looked great. But the rest of the other Xbox Studio stuff, what was spectacular about it? What was so great about it? Like Fable, what was so great about it? And the person couldn't answer me. But then they were like, oh, well, with Spider-Man, Spider-Man didn't look that great. I said, well, neither did the Xbox stuff outside of Starfield. And you got to remember, there were two parts to that show. So even if Starfield landed at a 9 or a 10 for you, it had to come down because the other half of the show was lackluster. Well, I mean, it's okay. It's all right. Well, why is that all right? But then you got to heavily hit PlayStation because Spider-Man wasn't so great for you. Like, why is it okay for me? Why is mediocrity okay over there? The company is a lot more richer, a lot more resource, way more studios. There's already a blueprint there to show we can buck with PlayStation. They've already done it. Why is mediocrity okay over there, but the company that needs PlayStation in order to be alive? Xbox is Microsoft's second to lowest revenue stream. And they're still getting pumped with $8 billion here in investment, $75 billion here in the APK deal. Sony could never. Why is mediocrity over there with all those resources okay? But now you got to triple down on them over it. It doesn't make any sense. That's why I don't pay attention to those zealots. Like even me in my most fierce Xbox supporting rhetoric, even I looked at some of this bottom dwelling stuff and I said, no, this is not okay. We got a problem with this Phil Spencer. I said it from day one. Damn well, my very first video on this channel as someone who started this content because I felt like PlayStation was overrated. My very first piece of content was Phil Spencer got promoted, but but I'm not celebrating. My second piece of content was crapping on Uncharted 4. That's what makes you a zealot. See, I was just spewing unwise rhetoric because I had made the improper assumption that this regime would just carry the mantle that the other regimes did in regards to quality. Absolutely not. And what I'm trying to tell you guys and gals, for those of you that are still holding the line, okay, so the whole theory behind hold the line, what does that imply? Why do I gotta hold the line if I'm happy with everything? What's there to hold? I'm happy. What am I holding? What am I holding? What do I gotta protect? I'm happy. I could care less what y'all think. So there's no need for me to hold anything. I'm holding the line in regards to what's being said about my platform because too much of it is true. And even though it's true, you still stand in place and take those bullets, soldier. That's holding the line. There's nothing for me to battle about if I'm happy. So all what I'm saying is not geared towards those that are happy. If you're happy with this type of stuff, if it doesn't even bother you, if the bugs don't bother you, if Redfall doesn't bother you, if Starfield doesn't bother you, then continue on. This doesn't apply to you. But if there's a feeling that you gotta hold the line, that means you're not happy. And if you're not happy, why are you not acting like a consumer instead of a fan? A fan celebrates an entity regardless if it's successful or not. Because part of the whole exercise of being a fan is, did I make the right choice? Or, me supporting my locale's team, you know what I'm saying? Or are we picking the right players or doing it? That's totally different from how normal day-to-day bartering is to occur. When I go buy fish or a TV or whatever, my expectancy is the TV turns on, that the fish is fresh. Not the fish gave me food poisoning, but because I like Starkiss, I'm going to ignore it. I'm just going to defecate on myself for several days and not tell anybody, not go to the hospital because I don't want Starkiss to look bad. I don't want LG to get a bad rep. So even though when I turn on my TV and it blew up, and this is the third LG TV that did that, I'm going to keep my mouth shut and hold the line. If you're truly happy with what's being put out there, what are you holding against? There's no credibility if what they're saying isn't true. But if what they're saying is true, why are you not acting like a consumer? We don't do console war over here. We criticize and applaud efforts. And if we continuously criticize an effort that isn't doing right, I don't look at my content and say, oh, okay, I said enough about this. Now I got to make up something on the other side. No! That's why I warned you. There was a disclaimer. If holding companies accountable, holding products and services accountable, gives you a skin rash, this is going to be a hard podcast for you. So people need to question this quote unquote launching at quality. This is Xbox launching at quality. Is this what quality is? That you can't even rely on Forza to hold that standard of greatness that is known to hold? Huh? When it comes to launching at quality, let's talk about what Xbox and Phil Spencer has proclaimed in regards. In 2022, it's generally conceived that Xbox did not meet expectations set during its showcase presentation, as admitted by Phil Spencer himself. And let me do this. I have a link. Oh, you know what? No, that's the link to the show. I wanted to link to an article. I don't have it right now. And because of what was admitted by Phil, as far as them not meeting their expectations in 2022 during the Xbox showcase. This suggests that they fell short in delivering the quality they aimed for in their games, right? So that's what sets this precedent. Phil is looking at 2022. He said, look, we fell short, y'all. We put out an expectation and we didn't meet it. And then we also see the emails that were released because of the court documents where Phil doubled down on that, even behind the scenes, right? So in regards to how they were going to alleviate that with the 2023 plans, Phil expressed enthusiasm for the upcoming year. He indicated that they plan to improve their game release and deliver on their promises as far as quality. He mentioned releasing quality game every quarter, one quality game every quarter as part of their strategy, signaling their commitment to regular high quality game releases. So therefore, like I said, based upon all that, look, Redfall did not land well at all. Starfield didn't come close to the expectation set. That's fine. It's okay. At least we got Forza. We know Forza is going to be a banger, right? Now, in regards to their long-term strategy, Microsoft's long-term strategy involves releasing a minimum of 4 first-party games per year, reaffirming their dedication to maintaining a consistent game release schedule. Now, for historical context, Xbox's goals of regular game releases aligns with their past ambition to release a new first-party game every 3 months, as mentioned in a 2021 report. So in summary, under Phil Spencer's leadership, aim to release one high-quality game every quarter as part of their strategy to improve their game delivery and meet the expectations of their game community. This commitment was supposed to be driven by their acknowledgement of past shortcomings and their dedication to delivering better gaming experiences in the future. So my question to y'all, before we move on to the next topic, let's look at the 3 biggest games: Redfall, Starfield, Forza Motorsport. Are these the way that these games landed? Is this what you expected? Is this the scenario that you wanted? When Xbox said we are now at a point of releasing games at quality every quarter. Is this the quality that you were looking for? Let me know in the chat. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Tell me why I'm wrong. Tell me that I'm wrong and tell me why I'm wrong. Is this the quality? Is this the level of quality that you expected when Xbox said they were dropping games of quality every quarter? Let me know in the chat. Let's go to that chat. See what they got to say. Cold Blood Sensei says they held the line for mid games. He says Forza was the last franchise to die from the big 3. I mean, yeah, because Gears has been silenced. Look, they've even said in so many words that Halo is no longer the flagship title. They, in so many words, conferred that to, or deferred that to Starfield. Hell, they could have just left it at Halo. They could have left that at Halo. Let me see something. Let's check out something. No, I'm gonna do this search real time. Let's do the search real time. I want you guys to see it. This will be interesting. All right, let's do this. All right, so let's look up Halo Infinite. Okay. So Halo Infinite is sitting at a 69.38. And this is the multiplayer, sitting at a 69.38 Metacritic, right? A lot of people are disappointed with, remember that, 69.38. A lot of people were disappointed with that and more positive. What is that? that is considered what is that considered? All right. Is that mixed? All right. I think that's mixed. All right, so now we have Halo Infinite. Let's do Halo Infinite again. Halo Infinite campaign. I think the campaign is the campaign is lower. So so you got like 67 to 69% for Halo Infinite. Let's look at Starfield. Wow. Starfield is eerily close. You could have just left it at Halo Infinite. You could have left Halo and just say, you know what, and then come up with a regroup campaign for Halo Infinite. I mean, you went from mediocre to slightly less mediocre, objectively, as far as reception is concerned. You could have left it at Halo, and improve your franchises and your flagship instead of trying to bounce all over the place. Amazing. So, wow, that's crazy to me. Like I don't. Anywho, let's continue on. Says Forza review score. Okay, Forza is now a live service game. A live service for 1 year. After that is going to be delisted like 7. There is no performance mode. It's literally been abandoned. I just saw we just released something where Redfall said that they released a performance mode on cloud dosage. I think there was something where they're saying there's a let me see. Let me look it up. Redfall. Let's see here. News. Oh, nope. It's still MIA. It says the 60. Oh, hold on. There's an update. It says following this publication, Arcane released a new patch for Redfall, which introduces many changes, including the long away. Oh, that allows Xbox Series to play the games. And no, it's here. Redfall's 60 frames per second mode is here now. And you can play 60 frames per second on the here. It goes right here. It says following the publication of this story, Arcane released a new patch for Redfall, which introduces many changes, including a long-awaited performance mode that allows Xbox Series X and X owners to play the game at 60 frames per second. So it's here now. I saw something on Cloud Dosage where they had mentioned that. So yeah, so the performance mode is here now. I don't think at this point it does much for the game. It just makes it less throw up in your mouthable. So they held the line for mid games. Forza was the last franchise to die. It says, hell no, they deceive already more than enough with those Xbox Shield journos. He says, I'm holding the line for a release of dog-ish games to laugh at. I can't expect Xbox to put out quality ever again after 10 years of failure. He says, oh my God, I wish Starfield was at 69 on Meta. The memes would be legendary. Won't change the player count. Yeah, I don't think that. Yeah, you may get some more people. It's not going to change the player count on Steam. I mean, if it does at this point, I would be surprised. I think people are long gone. Beyond, they're done with Redfall. I can't really see it, but I mean, I could be wrong. Whatever. It's not going to be a significant bump. You might see some people jump back on it on Xbox. They might not. I mean, the game just isn't. It's not good. It's just not good. It's not good. It's not acceptable for the type of caliber game that it was advertised as. It's just unacceptable. So I don't see a lot of people trying to get back into that. That being said, am I wrong? Tell me, am I wrong? Am I wrong? Let me know in the chat if I'm wrong. All right. That being said, let's move on. Let's talk about PlayStation and these Naughty Dog layoffs. This one tickled me funny because I see this is the part of the show where we talk about people trying to be overzealous to balance the negative news, right? There is negative news here, definitively. There's definitely negative news. And I saw a lot of PlayStation gamers speak on the negative news plausibly without going down this rabbit hole of just going over the top like you've seen other zealots try to do. So what is the story? Well, supposedly Naughty Dog is rumored to have released 25 contract workers from their contract. So these would have been contracted laborers. For some reason, Kotaku added to the story who broke this news or broke this rumor that they weren't given severance, which just to me speaks to the pedigree of Kotaku and why I have them blocked and I don't even pay attention to them anymore. And I think other publications would be, even publications who are better at this than they are, like GameIndustry.biz, would be remiss, would be better off ignoring stories from Kotaku or fact checking them. But I'll explain that in a second. I think the bigger point is that this is on the heels of the rumors that the game has been indefinitely canceled. So here's the question for you guys and gals. Does this show that PlayStation's plans for live service games are doomed? Here's my thoughts on this. First and foremost, let's address the whole contract workers not given any severance. Contract workers don't get severance by default. If it's written in their contract, maybe so. Like I've talked to some independent contract workers that say, look, in California, I guess it's written into their contract. But normally, and trust me, I know, because one of the businesses that I handle deals with independent contractors. And that's one of the lures and why people deal with independent contractors, because they don't have to supply the unemployment insurance, Social Security insurance, and they don't have to withhold the taxes. So if you're a smaller company that just, you're working with some people to do some type of labor or whatever, as long as they're not working X amount of hours a week, like for the things that we do, we have people set up booths and do certain things, and they're only doing it a couple hours a day. And even at that, those people aren't doing it. It's not the same people every day. So because these people fall under so many hours a week or a month, I think it is, we can just call them independent contractors, and then they're responsible for paying their own taxes. And then we don't have to go into our money and supply their unemployment insurance, supply their Social Security. And what that also does is, when you have an independent contractor where you don't have to do that, you can add more money. A lot of reason why, from a business perspective, why people may not get the greatest wages is because what a company is taking into consideration is they got to pay into your unemployment insurance and stuff like that. Trust me, I know. As a business owner, as someone who has been at a hiring and firing and budget setting level at a Fortune 500 company for the last 25 plus years, you There's more behind the veil. So one of the things with independent contractors is they're not offered severance because they're not seen as typical wage employees. Independent contractors normally get a 1099 form. Wage employees get a W-2. This is stuff that, okay, maybe gamers who don't operate at that capacity in their work life or whatever, don't own a business, they're not aware of that. That's fine. But these publications, especially one called GameIndustry.biz, why are you reporting on that? For clicks. So again, something that I learned in my stint in reporting on Stadia, where yes, the Stadia have its faults, definitely, but 90% of the stuff that you heard about the platform were lies. You got to do this, and you got to pay for a Stadia and buy a game. You know, all this stupid. It was agenda-setting lies that we debunked on a regular basis, and I never knew that I would be doing it at this level. I started Stadia Dosage, which is now Cloud Dosage, 3.5 years ago, simply to be a place where people that were interested in the platform could go and get facts. We were going to tell the good and the bad. It ended up becoming something more because the media just was hell-bent on telling lies. Because I played Stadia listening to a lot of those lies, and I said, hold on. How come the stuff that you're saying that's an issue with the platform, I'm not experiencing at all? I said, I don't understand this. And then I hit the internet and I found out there were more people like me. That again was like, hold on, this stuff that they're saying isn't just, maybe things are just different maybe things are different regionally. Well, no, I'm in UK. Over here, I'm over there. Those things are not different for me. Oh, are they lying? So we get together, we test out things. And then when we start having journalists lying about how well xCloud played 3.5 years ago versus Stadia, then we knew that they were lying. And then we said, okay, now this has to become something bigger. We got to combat the lies now. So it was through just trying to start a normal channel that reported on the happenings of Stadia and it becoming something else because of the lies that journalists were willing to tell that I understand that you can't trust these journalists. Hence why we went further and started our platform with Cloud Dosage. So now you have a readily informative publication based upon facts where you can get your information on what's going on in cloud gaming. So if those of you that are interested, why would the CMA even the EU? Why would these large entities pump the brakes or urge caution with the Microsoft ABK deal because of cloud gaming? Why is that? Well, you can go to Cloud Dosage and find out why. Because they'll explain to you what's going on with cloud gaming, the CAGR, the compound annual growth rate, and all that stuff, and why cloud gaming is set up to be the future of gaming. Oh, now it makes sense. Because we navigate people through all the lies and the misinformation that the media tells, because they're just set up for getting clicks. You got to understand, these people went from doing print to doing digital. In print, in order for me to get the printed hard copy, I got to put 75 cents, $1.25 on your counter and get that print copy. That's how they get paid. Then they would throw ads in there. Well, now I can see your article without having to pay something. So now I got to do something to get you to click on my article, because now in order for you to engage with my content, you don't have to buy anything. So when you have a dynamic like that, I got to tell bigger and bold. I got to have bigger and bolder car wrecks to grab your attention and get that click, because for every click that I get, that helps out my CEO and it brings in the ad revenue. That totally puts in dismay the accountability of the content that you're getting. You got to understand that dynamic. A lot of you aren't old enough to have been around print media to understand why print media back in the day was so much more was so much more ethical. than current digital media. Because in order for you to read what I had to say, you had to pay. Now they get paid off of ad revenue. So now I got to get you to click. I'm going to do whatever I can to get you to click. So that's why you would have even a publication. They call themselves GameIndustry.biz. GamesIndustry.biz. A title like that tells you that, or implies that we have a pedigree where we're going to go deep into the game industry. We're going to be able to articulate the more complicated things in a reasonable fashion. And because of that, we're able to do that. We have a formidable understanding of gaming business. And if you understand gaming business, then you don't regurgitate an article that talks about why independent contractors don't get severance. You don't do something so stupid. Kotaku's reporting that these independent contractors didn't get any severance, but let alone something that stipulated such in their contracts. Independent contractors normally don't get severance, or don't even mention it at all. You can talk about the fact that they're being let go. So I wanted to address that first, because that's idiocy. And again, you are not to trust the gaming media. I would advise you, whether you're PlayStation, Xbox, the Xbox people are going at it with IGN, right? Whatever, they're pulling at people's old posts. Yeah, see, you hate Xbox. But, and they can do whatever they want. I wouldn't trust any of them, regardless of who you are. I wouldn't trust any of them. I would, but a lot of those Xbox people, they hate anybody that doesn't talk about Xbox favorably. They jump down their case. Like I saw a bunch of people now mad at Stevivor of all publications. They're mad at Stevivor because Stevivor gave Forza a 7.5 out of 10. Now that should tell you something. It's Stevivor. You would swear that they were subcontracted by Xbox. If Stevivor gives Forza Motorsport a 7.5 out of 10, oh, you know something's amiss. But instead of saying, why would Stevivor give Xbox or give Forza a 7.5 out of 10? Man, there really must be some glaring issues. Let's take a look. Instead of coming at it that way or entertaining that somewhat and keeping an open mind, oh, Stevivor's crazy. And a lot of these people didn't even play the game. They were coming to these judgments before they even touched the game. Stevivor's crazy. They got it all wrong. So I don't listen to those zealots. But I advise you that if you're a game news connoisseur, whether you're PlayStation, Xbox, Nintendo, hell, even the Ouya, don't listen to the media. They're liars. Look at what they print. And I hate to tell you, you got to research it too. You got to look it up. They didn't give them severance. We go back and Google, do independent contractors get severance pay? I would go ahead and Google that. And then see what's in there. Hold on one second. Okay, sorry about that. Thought somebody was at my door. Let's do this too. So while I was telling y'all to Google it, guess what I did? I Googled it. I said, do independent contractors normally get severance pay if let go? And guess what Google told me? Usually independent contractors aren't entitled to severance pay. This is because they aren't considered employees of an organization. Severance is something that is entitled to a wage employee, like unemployment insurance is. Like States have laws that says, look, if you have if you have a wage employee, a dedicated employee, you can't just let them go unless there's a performance issue. You can't let them go without any type of compensation behind that. If you're downsizing or you come up with a new plan and you feel like you don't need this employee anymore, not because they're a bad employee, not because they have unrectifiable issues, but you just no longer need their services. They did their part. They came to work. They performed up to par. You got to give them some money for X amount of time if they've been employed for ABC amount of time. That's what severance protection is there for, along with you paying into the unemployment insurance. Now, if you are an independent contractor, you generally don't get that because you're not seen you're not seen as an employee. Now, people may argue there's laws and stuff in California for independent contractor, what's it called? But again, that's not a story. It's not a story. It's something that's created to gloss and get likes and get clicks for ad revenue. You got to be very careful. All right. So shout out to Cold Blood. Why didn't the event come through? You know what? Shout out to Cold Blood Sensei, my brother from another mother. Let's do that right now. Hold on. Uh-oh. I'm sorry. Hold on one second. Where is my chat? Let's give my brother Cold Blood Sensei a shout out. Thanks for your support, brother. Thank you for your support. Cold Blood, you didn't have to wait too long for that shout out, did you? Because it was supposed to make a sound. Because I be rambling and jambling. Let me see something. Let me go to my overlays. I'm glad you did that. Dashboard, hold on, overlays. Let me see, manage, billing profile, chatbot, queue. No, that's not it. Where is my overlays? What the hell's going? Okay, stream overlays. Oh, loyalty. Okay, hold on. Here we go. Decide which sections you want to show. Customize. There was supposed to be a sound. Maybe you know what I probably didn't do? My bad, Cold Blood. I got to fix this. Yeah, I probably screwed up and I don't have the, yeah, I probably did that. Hold on one second. God dang it. Why did it do that? I'm sorry. Cold Blood is the guinea pig for the rest of you all. Okay, let's go to our Botissimo event and monitor only, mute output. No, we want monitor and output for a Botissimo event, and for a Botissimo ad, we want to monitor and output for a Botissimo ad. Right. So let's test this out. I got to test this out. Stream overlays. Okay, no, that's the wrong one. Events. Hold on. Enable donation events. Give me a second. Follow, subs, hosts, Raids, Bits, Music, Q, Shop. Oh, that's why. Yeah, I don't have a select a sound. My bad. Okay. My bad, bro. Okay, I didn't set that up. Oh, man. Why didn't I? I didn't set that up. My bad. I'm glad I'm doing it now. Let's do that now. Where's that picture that I had? I had a dope picture. Filtered pics. Let's do this now. Cutouts. There it goes right there. Shout out. There we go. Now let's send the test. There we go. Sub gifts. Okay. All right. That's weird. Enable shop events. All right, let's try this now. Okay. My bad, Cold Blood. I don't know why that didn't pop up. Okay. It's there. All right. Now we got that fixed. We can't be doing that to Cold Blood, man. Cold Blood, hey, look, I'm gonna tell you right now, Cold Blood stops messing with your boy, we done. There's nothing else I can do. There's nothing I can say. It's over. Internet of Games in the house. It's a wrap. Cold Blood leaves. Sorry, we're gonna be like the SAFTA writers. We're done. We're done. Cold Blood is responsible for 80% of our content. We're done. So yeah, we got it. My bro, when he asks for a shout, as with all of y'all though, I love you all. Without any of y'all, we can't do this, man. I can't just sit here and talk to myself. Well, I can, I will, but he says, I was just testing it, keep going. Okay. No, but I had to make sure that it works. You know what I'm saying? Thank you. I appreciate you, good brother. But yeah, this is why you can't trust any of the media. You just can't. He says, just how much severance does a third brush artist foliage demand for their 14? Hey, yo, IOG, that's a hell of a point. That's why I said a lot of this is comical, because we don't know the 25 contractors what they did. We don't know what they were doing. Like for Last of Us 2, Naughty Dog wouldn't contract it like I think 1,000 Chinese coders. Now again, these aren't, but we don't know what these people, and they were just cleaning up stuff. They were cleaning up code. So we don't know what these people were doing. We don't know the severity of it and all that stuff. And we don't even know if the game is canceled. But okay, you hear that rumor that 25 independent contractors were let go. I mean, I'm not jumping out of my shoes and socks out of it, but I will admit at the most bottom level, it's newsworthy, right? Because you got layoffs everywhere. So that helps add to help people understand the levity of all these layoffs across the board. It's just comical that people are trying to make these 25 independent contractor layoffs seem as big as the layoffs that are happening at Epic and other places. Studios not getting paid and having to shut down, and the people that were laid off over at Microsoft, like not too long after they absorbed Bethesda, they laid people off and don't give them a raise. And the same people that want to jump all out of their shoes and socks for 25 independent contractors, which anybody losing their job sucks. I've been there before. Anybody losing their job, it sucks. Believe it or not, well, nah, I ain't gonna tell y'all that because that's giving y'all too much information, but I've been there. So losing your job sucks. Well, I'll put it like this. I've been in a situation where I would not, and I've told you guys this before. I did. I made this public before. Before I got to the area that I'm at, before I got to the area where I spent most of my tenure at, because I do special projects now. The area that I was in was based off this new technology we were utilizing. And the technology wasn't working or wasn't catching on as quick as the company liked it. It was too ahead of its time. And consumers were like, our clientele was like, we don't need this. What do we need this for? So it was like ahead of its time. So the department was being scrapped, and we were notified like 2 or 3 months in advance. So yeah, in between those 2 or 3 months, I was given an opportunity to interview in other places, and other places came to us, talked to us, and I was picked up by another area. The problem is they couldn't pick me up until by a certain date. So that means in between me being laid off with this one group and me being picked up by the new group, I had to there was a week that I didn't get paid for. I was actually late sitting at home waiting for my new job to start. Now, could I have gotten unemployment? Yes, because I was a wage worker and I got laid off. I didn't do it because I know how much our company in particular, how they get riled up against unemployment. Like, we used to have people that, like, in the state of Pennsylvania, if your hours get cut, you can file for unemployment insurance to make up those hours where you got cut. So if you're normally a 40-hour-a-week worker and your hours get cut, unemployment insurance in the state of Pennsylvania will make up those hours. I never knew that. And so we were running into a situation where people's hours were getting cut because the area was closing down, and people were filing for unemployment, and the company was infuriated. Because even though I was a frontline worker, I was being mentored by one of the managers there, and me and him were just having conversations. He was like, man, and he was telling me in so many words, bro, if you can suck it up, like, don't do that. You're entitled to it, but the long-term ramifications and the problems it's going to cause for you, and the stuff that it's going to add to your file, you ain't gonna want it, bro. So I sucked it up for a week. I'm glad he told me that. That's what having a mentor is good for. I was just saving my money, was being very frugal, to where that week where I was off, it wasn't that big of a deal. You know what I'm saying? And then I got hired in a new place, and then just continued on, and the rest is history. But yeah. So that's why this is silly. That part of this is silly. What isn't silly is the fact that this has life because of the inconsistent-ish show that Sony's presentation of now focusing more on games as a service has done to its gaming community. Because they've shown the community next to little to nothing. Now gamers nobody knows what's coming. And even though I spent the whole show, more than I anticipated, defending the pedigree of Jim Ryan, this is his biggest fault. It was the lack of transparency. It is look, we are masters at our trade. When we show you what we're going to show you, you're going to like it. Shut up and wait for us to show it to you. That was the gravitas they were running with. Remember, after the May showcase, when everybody was disappointed, What did all the studios say and the people? We got stuff coming down the pipe, but when we're ready to show it, we'll show it. That sounds like something that would come from Jim Ryan, because Jim Ryan is an X's and O's type of person. He reminds, if you watch American football, he's like the Bill Belichick of gaming. He's effective. He can get you results. He can get you better results than you can without all the fat from anyone else. But man, is he a miserable presence to deal with when you're trying to get details. I'm not saying he's a miserable presence altogether. I mean, people that have talked about personally knowing Jim Ryan, they have nothing but good words to say about him. They don't say the guy's mean, but he's a miserable. It's just like his whole aura is like, this is what I got to tell you, and you just find some way to deal with that. So his approach was completely against fanfare, and in unison as PlayStation entities were telling you, oh, we got great stuff. And trust, and I've said this 1,000 times, I won't go too far into this. People have been telling me that are close to PlayStation. I remember interviewing people for other platforms. That was the sole purpose of me interviewing them. And in the preparation for the show, in regards to the platform I was interviewing them for, they would just abruptly say, hey, have you heard what PlayStation got going? And I would be sitting there befuddled, like, because why are you talking about PlayStation? Because PlayStation has nothing to do with what we're talking about. No, you got to hear this. Because I went to this, or I was invited to that. Man, look, PlayStation got some stuff coming. It's insane. It's gonna blow the roof off. And it happened one time, and I was like, oh, well, that's interesting news. I'll take note of that, and we'll see where that leads. But when it started happening over and over and over and over again, I knew something was going on. I've had conversations with developers behind the scenes who, after the May showcase, when they saw me criticize them, they said, look, man, I'm not upset with your criticism. I think it's fair. I'm also befuddled and puzzled at why PlayStation didn't show what they have, because they showed it to us years ago. Like, what is going on? Why wouldn't they, And I think Jim was so in line. I think Sony, and this is the PlayStation people aren't going to like this, but this is business. You got to understand business. This ain't got about no console war or making Sony look weak. This is business, right? When people say Jim Ryan was weak for testifying against ABK, that's bullpucky. You don't listen to those people. They're idiotic in their business acumen. Do not listen to them. Sony lost $20 billion in market valuation when the deal was just announced. What the hell else was Jim Ryan supposed to do? You can argue, and I made that argument last week, that Jim Ryan improved the results for PlayStation by A, challenging it, and B, getting a 10-year Call of Duty deal out of it. Xbox was originally just offering 4 years of all Activision. PlayStation doesn't care about all Activision. They care about Call of Duty. So getting more than double of what you were getting with Call of Duty is an improvement. Was it an improvement enough that the PlayStation investors and board want it? We don't know. Who knows? I talked about that last week. Check out last week's show. But to argue that Jim Ryan did worse or whatever, that's a fallacy. That being said, his issues definitely were transparency and roadmap. He just felt like it wasn't important. And that's at the root of this issue. Because look, to be honest with you, and Jim Ryan did all that because PlayStation was, the brass at PlayStation are concerned about Xbox getting that spark again that made them as competitive as they did in the 360 space. That really put PlayStation in a bad way. PlayStation is the major sector at Sony. And them splitting here, they've never split hairs that much with any company as far as gaming is concerned. When they split hairs like that with the 360 to PlayStation 3, that hurt their bottom line significantly. So PlayStation and Sony are emphatically invested into making sure that they keep their neck, not just outperform Xbox, keep their necks on Xbox. It's the truth. That being said, this show is all Sony's fault, or all PlayStation's fault. And I tie it to Jim Ryan. Jim Ryan's lack of transparency. This went from a fan favorite game, because look, let's be honest, everybody wasn't playing factions. If everybody that was on PlayStation was playing factions at the rate that God of War, Spider-Man, or any of the other big, or even just the atypical PlayStation games were getting attention, if that was happening, factions would have been out. I think it had a very solid niche following, but it wasn't no big blockbuster affair. It just had a very vocal, substantial enough niche following. So it went from, hey, we can actually turn this into something that's a little bit more lucrative, along with it being fanfare for the most faithful. It went from that to, under Jim Ryan, how can we turn this into the blockbuster event of the century and heavily monetize it and turn it into the games as a service extravaganza. So they're trying to transform it into that, and the information just comes to a grinding halt about the effort. So you took a project that, of course, is supposed to be lucrative, was supposed to be lucrative fanfare for the most staunch PlayStation gamers, which with the potential to bring in more, to be a little bit more. You turn it into this big event, this big factions too, right? From a company that isn't known for games as a service stuff. Completely destroyed the transparency. And so now you're getting all this backlash and all this negative press because of it. That was a result of Jim Ryan. Jim Ryan muffed this up. He did. There's no, Jim Ryan muffed it up. A lot of you supported it though, because y'all doubled down on the non-fanfare. We don't need E3. We don't need this. Game companies always need to be accountable. When they don't have to be accountable, when you take away the need for them to have to show you what they're bringing to the forefront, guess what? We lose. It was only a matter of time. That bullcrap May 1st show, and now all this mess that we're seeing now, it's a byproduct of them not having to be accountable as far as transparency is concerned. Y'all got to be able to see past the first 5 minutes to now, gamers. Never bet on the side of a company not being transparent. So even if you don't want an E3, where is the extravagant detailed showcase regularly that's showing us what's coming down the pike? Never absolve a company from that. Never. So, and then lastly, is the evaluation process from Bungie itself under evaluation? Like, was Jim Ryan let go because, not because they were concerned with Xbox. I think after Starfield didn't hit the way that a lot of people were perceiving it was going to hit, I think PlayStation realized, okay, this green wave means nothing, but we got something that we got to address. Like, they're probably hearing murmurs from studios as being reported that they don't want to do the games as a service stuff, and now you know what I mean? And now you got Naughty Dog wasting an exuberant amount of time on something that's now being bottlenecked. Why couldn't they just do what they were doing before? It was the mode was competent enough to get the following that it got. Why not trust them to expand on it more? Maybe this whole acquiring Bungie, who, let's be honest, with Destiny, I don't know. I mean, Destiny isn't. I mean, Destiny is still Destiny as far as being large in its consumption, but them joining PlayStation hasn't boosted up Destiny, the product, any much more. Like a lot of people have been complaining about the quality of the product since they've joined PlayStation. So, I mean, is that was the Destiny investment or the Bungie investment acquiring Destiny and it's kind of fallen down a little bit, along with, okay, now we're going to run everything through Bungie, but now all these projects are getting canceled or getting pushed back and all other stuff. Was the strategy of having Bungie at the centrifuge of our games as a service approach, did that make enough people uneasy to where we're like, okay, Jim, go sit your ass down somewhere? It's a possibility. The whole Bungie thing the whole Bungie evaluation process could be under evaluation itself. All an interesting dynamic. What I say about it is I'm not against PlayStation doing investments in games as a service. Business-wise, it makes sense. Why? Because if you look at the top 20 games being played on PlayStation, 17 of them just about are games as a service. But none of them are owned by Sony. Why not change that dynamic? Why not get one or two or three in there and then really reap the benefits? Right? Because if you don't, with all this acquisition happening, you could have more and more games being acquired and being yanked from your platform. That's what Jim Ryan was thinking. And it's an understandable thought. Just maybe the way he went about it, along with the lack of transparency, could have been enough to what pushed him out. If that is what happened. I know a lot of people fall on he retired. I don't have any proof that he got pushed out. All the facts that we know of point to him just simply retiring. But the conspiracist theory person in me still says, keeps the door open that it's possible he was pushed out, not for the reasons that Xbox zealots are making. Oh, because of ABK passing. No, there may be some things to where some of the board maybe wanted more out of it and they weren't happy with emails that led to a certain perception or whatever. But there could be more to it if he was like pushed out. But again, there's no proof of that. But when it comes to this whole Naughty Dog thing and why this is even a story, it's PlayStation / Jim Ryan's fault, clearly. Let's go to the chat. Let's get your thoughts. Am I wrong on that one? What do you think? Let me know. Let's talk about it. It says they are playing into fears about the economy. Their grandmaster parent companies are moving for their candidate in 2024. Projects rely on their ability to employ specialist individuals and unskilled labor to get the job done. It's essential part of the company and the freelancer. Absolutely. Freelancer person who bears their weapon for the battle. He says, can you get Neff for just one episode? Somehow I missed the duo. I wouldn't hold your breath to it. Me and Neff talking about anime, Cold Blood, but as far as gaming is concerned, I wouldn't hold my breath. PC players, do yourself a favor this weekend. Download the RoboCop Rogue City. Oh, the demo is out. Oh, hey, yo, IOG. Shout out IOG. Thank you for that. And then as always, support this content, please. You can hit your boy up at paypal.me at mm2k. You can do Cashapp, mm2k gaming, or, hit our Petissimo page. And you can donate there. We really appreciate y'all. Thank you very much. Okay. All right. Now, let's talk Starfield. How much time do we got? Oh, shit. I'm going to do this real quick. He said RoboCop is trash. All right, I got to do this real quick. I don't have a whole bunch of time. Look, there are people out. Look, okay, so the story is, I have 30 plus hours in Starfield. Here's my thoughts. The game isn't horrible, but the game is far from great. Objectively. What do I mean by that? I mean, those are my individual takes, but as I go and I look at the consensus of gamers, they're in the same sentiment as me. They're like, Starfield is okay. Yeah, it's not horrible, but game of the generation, no. And most people are like, you know what? There's too much investment in this game that's needed. It's not horrible, but it's not worth the investment. That's the consensus I'm getting from gamers as they're playing Starfield, right? I'm gonna go to my let's see here. I got my Starfield. Where's my okay? So as you all should know, I do. Hold on one second. Oh. As you all should know, I do a look into Starfield. I mean, I do a look into games. I do a severe look into games. I have my own review litmus. And we did something different. I want to show you guys. So this is my review system here, where these are the things that I look, and Cold Blood loves this. No, he doesn't, but these are the things that we look at. I look at visual implementation. I look at product placement. I look at game depth. And I look at game mechanics. And we rate each of those pillars, and then we come up with a score. Now, generally when I'm doing a complete review from beginning to end, from beginning of a campaign to the end of the game to complete a title, these are the scores that we have. But then I understood that there are going to be games, because there's so many titles out there and I'm only one person, and now I'm creating content as well. Like before I make content, I was just writing for a publication. It was a lot easier for me to play everything. I played everything during the 360 era, and I can complete everything. It's not so easy now that I got a content schedule. So because of that, there are going to be titles to where I'll give an impression on, but I won't complete. And no, I'm not going to bump a game to easy just to complete it. No, I'm going to leave it to the next to the hard setting, second to the hardest setting, as always, so I can get like the full thrust of the experience, the good and the bad. And so we created an impression system that condenses our review system. And I said, here's our impression score interpretation. Impressions are games that have been reviewed, but have not been completed. Normal grading score has been more coalesced to fit an impression narrative regarding our desire to continue. Right? So if we get, and it's based at 1 through 5, if we give a game a 5 in regards to impressions, it normally would be a game that scores between a 90 to 100 on our score system. And it's like a must continue. It's like, I haven't finished it yet, but I feel like I want to talk to you about it now. Give you an update where I'm at. Like, I'm definitely finished. This is what I feel about this game. I'm definitely finishing this game. A 4, very good experience. We got a strong urge to continue. So it's a very rare instance we're not going to continue this because we're really enjoying this experience. We feel really good, really good about this game. If it scores between 80 to 90 once we use our review system. 3 is like, it's a decent experience. Moderate, it's like 50-50 if we're going to continue it. And those are scores that fall in 75 to 79%. It's 50-50. 2 is a flat experience, faint desire to just barely worth the backlog. Like, it's in our backlog. We may finish it. I wouldn't hold my breath on it. And that's anything that's 72 to 74 using our review system. And lastly, if we give it a 1, it's a bad experience, no desire at all, complete waste of time playing. We're not finishing the game. So that's anything that gets to 72 on our scale or lower. So anything that we're going to continue to review games like this, but if we're doing an impression, we're going to convert that score into these impression milestone scores so you can know where we're at. So right now, this is our legend for Starfield. As you can see, I got like 31. I actually have like 33 hours in it now, but I haven't ranked my latest 2 hours, but they're the same as the last 12 hours. I just condensed the last 12 hours. And right now, where I come at with the game is a 7.74 out of 10. So really that's a 77%. And if you look at that, a 77% falls in are decent. So we give it a 3 out of 5. We fall where everyone else is. And I have a review system where each play session, I'm rating my major pillars and I come up with the score and I explain why. Right? And so my last play session, I feel like explaining it this way. Here's the positives. Overall, great level design and corridor combat. You know, like when you go into buildings and stuff like that, that corridor combat, it is great. It's a great experience. Most enjoyed playing linearly with side missions, like a Crysis 2. Like if I play it like a Crysis 2, which is more of a linear game, that kind of has like a semi-open world feel, but I don't try to journey too much. I just go from mission to mission. I get averted here and there by the side mission that may come my way, you know, that I may bump into. I don't try to go journey for stuff because the journeying is disjointed and broken up and just too bland. If I go from mission to mission and do it that way and you know, handle side missions that come my way or that I just happen to come across, that's cool. You know, fine. That's the most enjoyable way to play it. However, here's the negative. The immersion is broken. That's why I don't do the journeying. It's broken due to the staggered exploration experience. Loot gaining is more about colors than actual meaningful stats. What I mean is, I may come into a purple item, an orange item, like, woo! But I want to say out of all the items that I've gathered, maybe 5% have become useful for me. So I'm seeing all these purple and blues and all this stuff and oranges, but they're meaningless. They're meaningless for the most part. So you just end up stockpiling a lot of stuff that has these particular colors, that claims all this bold stuff in the stats, but really overall stat-wise is not doing much in the game. Like from hour 8 to hour 30, I really hadn't gotten a weapon that was that important. That's 22 hours. 22 hours of play. I really didn't get a weapon that was that important. It was just my latest gameplay and I want to say in hour 33 that I got this weapon that I'm like, okay, now this is something that enhances my weapon selection, that enhances my ability to attack enemies. I didn't in a substantial way. Looting is held back by poor inventory control and UI enemy AI, not diverse enough where like the enemy AI is, okay, but let me not go too far. The looting is what breaks the immersion as well. Like you guys seen it. All the evidence is there. Having every 2 or 3 hours, I got to spend 30 minutes to an hour doing my inventory. That's immersion breaking. Even in prior BSG games, I didn't have to do that. And I'm carrying a lot less. Like if you go through an old BSG game and grab all the cups and grab because you want to sell them and all, and you grab everything. Okay, maybe at some point in time, like after like a good 10, 15 hours of collecting and just throwing stuff in a locker, maybe you do get to a point to where, okay, now I got to separate this. I got to make sense. And you spend like that half an hour, but I got to do this like every 2 to 3 hours. That breaks the immersion on top of the already disjointed immersion because I'm flying to this planet, but I'm on this tile and all that crazy setup as far as the exploration is concerned over barren land. Like, you know, you're traveling 5 minutes and just running over desert. It's boring. It's boring. I cannot play another BSG game where I'm traveling for 5 minutes and I don't run into anything. That's absurd. So the immersion is broken up. Then when it comes to the corridor fighting can be fun, but it's unclimactic. Why? Because like the diversity in the enemies really isn't there. Like they don't have weapons that are like, oh, you know what I'm saying? Like when you, like there's some enemies that clearly are supposed to be a little bit more OP. They're just more bullet spongy than the other ones. But they really don't, it's not like they have a weapon or something like that. It's like, oh, this super phase gun that shot these waves and it made me still. There's not enough variety is what I'm saying in your enemy interaction. Not enough variety to keep it from getting mundane and stale. And then when you go to these areas, even though the corridor stuff is like, oh man, when you get to the end, it's so unclimactic. Like all the stuff that I've done, pretty much every mission I've said to myself, is that it? Is that it? I said that constantly. So yeah, 3 out of 5. That's what I give the game. It's 50-50 if I'm going to continue. And it's likely I'm going to continue because the way it plays on GFN is so gorgeous and it's so smooth. Like kudos to GFN really makes that game, gives that game a solid spit shine. And why Xbox isn't embracing that more is bewilders the hell out of me. Like I would be advertising that to Xbox. I would be running a partnership with GFN so gamers can possibly play the game on their Xbox console if they have Game Pass. I'm gonna be running like, get 3 months of GFN Ultimate on us. I would do that. Bewilders me. Because that game looks gorgeous on NVIDIA GeForce Now. Cold Blood says 77 is way too high. I'm not going to disagree with that sentiment. I mean, I was thinking about my score yesterday when I was working. I don't know why it just randomly hit me. I was like, when I compare this to other games that I've played that I've given a 77, like maybe 77 is too high, but I don't want to artificially just lower it. Like I really got to take a look at how I've been grading this and appropriately and say, look at things that I may have been a little bit overzealous on and address them appropriately. But right now where I'm walking away from the game, it's a 77. It's all right. By the time I'm starting to feel, I'm gonna be honest with you though, because I don't want to go back. Like I'm not enthralled to go back. I want to get back to God of War. I want to get back to Remnant. I want to get back to Baldur's Gate. I really don't want to get back. And like I'm pretty much done with this game. I'm getting closer to this. A flat like a 73. I think a 73, 74 might be a little bit more appropriate. That's what I'm like feeling now. But because of how I was like my anticipation of the game before I really settled and understood what it is, like I think I do have to go back now and say, look, I was rating this based upon anticipating something a little bit more climactical. I just had to go further. And now that I understand that climactical element just isn't there, maybe I do need to go back and properly adjust that score. I'm starting to settle more on the 74. So, all right. So those are my thoughts on Starfield. I will just conclude this as well. Stop with the review bombing. Bull crap. I think I originally had these bullet points last week, but now we see Xbox gamers coming out and saying, yeah, this isn't the game of the generation that we needed. This isn't it. Hopefully there's something else. You know what I'm saying? Stop with that. review bombing stuff, because on Steam, which equates to the scores on other platforms, it's just objectively, it's considered mediocre by the gaming populace. I was dismayed to see big time creators try to use that as an excuse to pander to Xbox. Shame on you. But that's why you got to watch these people and these journalists. Here's something that I want to say to those that look at games as, why are we scrutinizing this so much? Why aren't we just happy to play games? I want to say this to you guys and gals. Gaming at its core has always been centered around advancement, bigger worlds, bigger graphics, new possibilities. Hence why gamers are willing to spend $500 every few years to get new consoles. It's like getting a new TV, right? And getting a new TV, you can't tell someone who's been used to watching their favorite sports team play in 1080p that, you know what, who cares that they're playing in 1080p? You should settle for 480i each Sunday, right? If they're only transmitting the games down 480i, who cares that you bought a 1080p TV? Who cares? You get to watch the game regardless. Just enjoy watching the game, right? That's the proverbial comparison to your argument, right? It's even more perplexing that people approach this way because it's games. Hold on one second. So, sorry about that, y'all. So, again, if I go and buy a brand new 1080p TV, right? And let's just say I go get it so I can stream games in 1080p. I mean, stream shows in 1080p. And then all of a sudden, the channel that shows the sports games that I want to watch in 1080p, now all of a sudden they're like, they reduce it to 480i, and I start complaining. Somebody comes to me and says, well, what do you complain? At least you still get to watch the game. Because when it comes to entertainment, there's always those expectations that the technology around the presentation will improve. Like you can't treat games like digital tabletop games. This isn't Uno. This isn't Monopoly. When it comes to those type of games, you know what you're getting. There is the static experience that is more or less, it's not about the game itself. It's about you experiencing the game with others. That's how you handle board games, or you handle card games. That's how you handle those type of games. When it comes to video games that are cultural art, it's not just about experiencing it with others. It's about experiencing the art that the elements within the game is trying to portray. And see, we have a lot of new gamers that approach video games like they do Uno, or it's just about experiencing it with other people, or just going through the rigors and okay, that's it. But like anything else that is a nerd hobby, and we explained this a few episodes ago, anything else that's a nerd hobby, where people are going to be critical because there is that expectation in the presentation and the delivery of said product to enhance. When there's that expectation of enhancement in the delivery of what you're offering, then of course there's going to be scrutiny. Unlike Uno, you can have the same Uno pack of Uno cards that you had when you were 10 years old. It's that static experience of playing Uno and playing it with your friends that you're engrossed in. But games are different. That's why people are buying new consoles. Why? Because they want new experiences. The experiences aren't static. So if you got this static mindset when it comes to games, that's you, and that's fine. You can have that. But you cannot reasonably expect to pass or cascade that static mindset to this, a digital culture where enhancement is key. It's been key since the beginning. Otherwise, there wouldn't be a 2600. There wouldn't be a Nintendo. There wouldn't be a Super Nintendo. There wouldn't be a Sega Saturn. There wouldn't be a PlayStation 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. An Xbox, OG, 360, 1, and so forth. If this was supposed to be approached like Uno or Monopoly, where you can have the same old ass pieces from when you were 10 years old, then yeah, your approach would be fathomable for the entire gaming populace. But guess what? It isn't. You can't relate to the culture, and that's okay. You're allowed to enjoy whatever you want, however you want. But when you start trying to trickle down, for lack of a better term, no, there ain't no lack of a better term. Hell no, we're ripping the scab off. When you try to trickle down your minuscule approach to gaming to everybody else, it's absurd. Maybe you would have a better appreciation and get more out of gaming if you listened to us, if you understood the culture. Maybe those experiences that you're having, instead of just, I'm playing with my friends, my buddy, and my family, or I get to talk about it with my friends and my buddy, it's the shared experience that makes gaming like you're playing Uno, like you're playing Bid Whisk or something. If you saw the art and the progression of the art, then maybe you can understand, then you could be locked in where we're locked in mentally, and then understand the expectation part of it too that gets us enthused. And maybe that would enhance your gaming experience. So it's not about you just hitting the X button repeatedly on easy and killing said monster. Maybe you will increase the difficulty. And maybe you will understand, I gotta dodge, I gotta have gamer skill, I gotta dodge, jump around, maybe use this item, maybe use it. Oh man, that sense of urgency and that strategic sense, that was ingenious the way they embedded it in the game. You know what? Now that I've done that, now I've elevated how I interact with this and I have a better understanding of the culture behind it, I'm even more enthralled than I was before. I want more of this and I want it to get better. And if you come across that way, we will welcome you aboard. And then we can have a fruitful discussion. But we can't talk right now while you're looking at games like Digital Uno. We can't. They are not the same things between you and I. Again, I get it. There are gamers who are just happy with simply playing. That's fine. But gaming at its core is immersive tech, one where innovation and experience is routinely upgraded per consumer demand. The minority of gamers who fall outside of that demand don't get to dictate to the majority. I'll give you a prime example, and I used this last week. Say if I personally like protein shakes, which we understand what protein shakes are for. Protein shakes are a nutritional supplement devised to give you protein. Now, there are those they are designed, there are those that are designed for maybe elderly people or those that may need more protein in their diet. A big bulk of them are sold to people that work out, that need protein to feed their muscle, right? Because as we all should know, protein feeds muscle. But let's just say I take in particular a workout protein shake purely because of the taste. I don't want it because of the nutritional value. I'm not working out. I just like the taste. Again, the nutritional value has no standing whatsoever. If that is the case with me, that's fine. That's okay. I mean, the shake maker doesn't mind me buying it, but I got to also understand that I'm not the target demo. So if I see a commercial for that shake on there and they're like, yeah, and this has, the leucine and the isolates and all this other stuff. And I'm like, why are they talking about this? Why don't they just focus on it tasting great? It isn't designed just to be tasting great. That's the taste is a lure. But this has a certain value set to its particular demographic, and I may fall out of that demographic, but I'm welcome to purchase it and enjoy it however I want to. But as a protein shake maker, again, they are selling those shakes with a nutritional need. So for some reason, we discovered that the nutritional values advertised are not what's in the shake. And let's just say a whole bunch of people start protesting, like, hold on, y'all said this had this, that, and the other, and it doesn't have that, man, that's false advertisement, blah, blah, blah. And people start to, really bring a stink up to what they were being advertised, what they thought they were getting, and what they didn't get. You or me as the flavor enthusiast, I don't get to go to those people and cover their mouths and say, stop, shut up. You're being so toxic. Who cares? This shake tastes great. Why can't you just enjoy it because of that? The same applies to gaming. For any of the other minuscule or mundane, or maybe the auxiliary reasons you enjoy gaming, that's great. If that's all it is to you. But when people say things like the game of the generation, the most important RPG of our time, that is talking to a group of gamers that have a particular set of expectations under certain characteristics. And we don't care if because of your brand loyalty, because of how the shake tastes, that then you start trying to dive into that realm and say, well, you know what? Yeah, you guys are mad because the amino acids aren't at the levels that they promised. But I'm telling you, when I drink this shake, I went from lifting 2-pound dumbbells to 2.5-pound dumbbells. So I don't know what you guys are complaining about. You going out there on these lofty, loopy rebuttals of lineage and culture you don't understand do not diminish the concerns of those that are more seasoned in this area. And I think these newfound gamers that are concerning me, I'm glad that things like Game Pass are making games more accessible. That's great. But a lot of you newfound gamers with this, again, digital Uno card mentality, you're concerning and you don't get it. And it's time you start getting it. No, we're not going to water down on expectations of gaming just to make you feel better about your purchase. And that's all I got to say about Starfield. We're done with it on MM2K Gaming. You ain't got to worry about that anymore. I got one more game that I'm just going to release. I got it in private because I was letting it render. We're going to release that tomorrow morning, and then that's it. The rest of it you'll get on Cloud Dosage streams, because our goal there is to show you the prowess and the power and the reasons why cloud gaming platforms should be in your portfolio. And when it comes to Starfield, GFN does a wonderful job with that game. Y'all definitely need to check it out. If you're interested in the game, again, I'm not arguing against you being interested in the game or even trying it out or you even liking it. What I'm saying is that they were trying to tell us, the general gaming populace, that this game is something that it's not. And that's not going to bode well for the platform or the brand's future. I mean, hey, look. When it comes to the brand's future, look, here's the thing. Let's break this into two parts. First, let's talk about the consumer deliverables that they haven't delivered on. And I'm not going to go all the way back to when I started getting dismayed. I'm just going to deal with this generation. Again, for those of you that are the Xbox apologists that are like, why don't you guys just enjoy it? They're like digital Uno. Take this into consideration. These are all the promises that Xbox made that they didn't follow through with. Number one, in advertising this thing, you cannot have a next-gen experience without VR, right? Now, that's the most superficial one, but for those that were getting excited, like, oh man, yes, Xbox is going to get into VR. The Microsoft technology is going to take it to a whole nother level. Wrong. Secondly, the world's most powerful console is now continuously splitting hairs with the quote-unquote less teraflop PlayStation 5. Why? Because the Series S performs as a bottleneck to that experience. So people so a completely different product, a completely different SKU is having an effect on my more expensive product? Are you kidding me? The launch lineup disparity. People were promised a better this is going to be different this time. And you had a horrible launch lineup. Don't worry about the Xbox Series S, the aforementioned Xbox Series S, because developers are just going to scale up. Or they're going to scale down. You can scale up or scale down. So there's going to be no compromises, right? And we end up understanding that was false. Guess what else happened? Phil Spencer finally admitted that on the 100th episode or the 1000th episode of Gamertag Radio, where he said, look, the approach that we're taking, there are going to be some compromises. After months and months and months of alluding otherwise, him and other Xbox execs alluding otherwise, then he finally comes out and says otherwise. But he tried to hide it in a whole bunch of bibble babble, but we caught him. And there's a famous clip of yours truly calling him out on it. I'm gonna have to see if I can find it. The Series S will provide 1080p to 1440p 60 frames gaming. That's the standard. No, it's not. And don't give me that crap about it's the design choice. The design choice speaks to a rarity, not the majority. You're not getting 60 frames per second modes on the Xbox Series S where you were advertising 120 frames. That's on old stuff. That just renders the Xbox Series S a mid-gen refresh of the Xbox One S. You know what I'm saying? All those promises apply to the old games, not the new ones. That's not how this was advertised. And it was so bad and so severe, the Xbox created video that made that promise, they now privated. The aforementioned 2022 showcase, highlighting games seen you're going to see over the next 12 months. That ended up becoming a farce. And Phil Spencer admitted that. He admitted that publicly, and he admitted that in the emails. Next, Project xCloud would release retail alongside Series X. Now, a lot of you may not have heard that, but I've heard it from multiple people behind the scenes. There was one interview where I think an Xbox exec, I can't remember which interview they did with a publication, but they alluded to that happening, that the Xbox xCloud was going to come out of beta and was going to release along with the Series X. Then they reversed on that, right? Because of the infamous, the Fortune magazine interview when they were like, why don't you just release this thing out of beta? And Phil Spencer said, no, would you release that? would you put that on the market? Or so? I can't remember how he said it. So they flip-flopped on that. And last but certainly not least, Project Keystone and just the state of the entire cloud effort. Again, still in beta. The convenience argument that they relied upon, it's more convenient than per se GFN. Okay, now you're waiting for queues for like 30 minutes to an hour. And they're not doing anything to change that or to upgrade that. Meanwhile, we got PlayStation, for crying out loud, who really ain't pushing those cloud at all, really substantially. They got a 4K capable side of their cloud performance on the back burner. Those are 8 different things just in this generation alone. And we're only 3 years in. 8 different pillar things that Xbox promised that they didn't deliver on. But it goes beyond that. Let's talk about their internal deliverables. This ain't about it ain't about them, because y'all think that I'm just trying to make Xbox evil. It's not about Xbox being evil. They've done some demonstrably upsetting things and irreprehensible at times, but it's not about them being evil. I don't think Xbox is evil. I'm gonna explain to you what it is. But let's talk about the internal deliverables that they weren't able to deliver. Just in alone. Game Pass was growth continually. Nope, that was overestimated to the point now to where they're saying it's only going to result in 15% of the business. You think I'm making stuff up? Didn't Phil Spencer say in court or via a court testimony or deposition, whatever that was, that Xbox expected to have 100 million Game Pass subscribers and a significant portion of that was going to be via the cloud? That ain't happening. That is not happening by 2027? Nope, not happening. We got in the email to Satya, we got the better console family than the PlayStation 5. Oh, you do? Why is it now that you got the most expensive console on the market that continues to split hairs with the cheaper one? And then now it's getting to the point to where the parity expectations between the Series S and the Series X now got it to where developers don't like, well, look, if the alternative is we just don't bring our game to your platform, we're not bringing it. Meanwhile, PlayStation gamers can experience gaming. They can experience gaming cheaper than $500, right? But they can experience it with no compromises. Imagine that. With that being said, let's move on. They said they would be more competitive via Game Pass in the Series S. There was that article that they released with GameIndustry.biz. There was Sarah Bond, Phil Spencer, Satya Nadella, a whole bunch of people from Xbox and Microsoft talking about how they would be more competitive via Game Pass in the Series S. And again, did they come out later and say, oh, Game Pass is only going to be 15%, and now they are at Xbox One levels as far as saturation is concerned. Halo Infinite sparking xCloud growth. Remember that from the court documents? That didn't happen. That's where they thought their evangelist marketing efforts would spurn xCloud propel it into bigger growth. Didn't happen. They heavily misjudged the critique and reception of key titles. Look at Redfall and look at the tricks and gimmicks they tried to play with Starfield. Because of that, they don't have an eye. They don't have a good litmus on what is good or great to gamers. So those are just the things that have happened since in this generation. There's over 13 different deliverables. 8 of them are for consumers. 5 are their own deliverables that in 3 years alone they did not reach. I don't think that Xbox is evil. I don't think they're mean or they plan to deceive. I don't think they don't come out of the gate doing that. I don't think that is their plan at all. The times where they are deceitful and they practice double speak. It's a byproduct of their incompetence. Xbox is an incompetent company in gaming. This current regime, and not because they just haven't been in gaming long enough or PlayStation they scoured PlayStation's ass like no other company was able to do in the 360 generation. Just by focusing on putting out stellar games, landing on the tech as they promised, and innovating. By doing those 3 things, they scoured PlayStation to a point that still has PlayStation nervous today. So the blueprint is already there, and they did it with less resources. We got this company. Like it was unbelievable when Microsoft approved the $2 billion needed to repair the Xbox 360s because of Ring of Death. That was unprecedented. You fast forward to now, and Xbox is writing checks at the scale of 75 billion for Activision Blizzard and 8 billion, 7 to 8 billion for Bethesda. Inflation doesn't, you know what I'm saying? Inflation from that time of the 360 to now doesn't, it doesn't even match up still. They have way more resources. Way more studio, way more money, way more investment than they ever had. And they are failing. Why? Because they're incompetent. They just don't have what it takes. And here's the thing that I want y'all to think about. And we're actually going to close on this after I read some comments. And we're going to save the 1P versus 2P, 3P debate for another time, for another show. I knew we wouldn't be able to squeeze in 4 topics, but here's the thing to think about. I see people jumping around Jim Ryan's departure as something to celebrate. And they're pushing the narrative that he got pushed out because of whatever. Okay, let's play devil's advocate and say Jim Ryan did get pushed out. Again, as I said earlier, there's part of me that believes that it's too coincidental when he's wanting to retire. I do think there may have been a little push for some reason, not because of what these zealots are saying, but there's some other things that need to be examined and looked out for, right? And we won't know until years down the road. That being said, let's play devil's advocate and just say that he was pushed out. That's nothing for Xbox zealots to celebrate. You know why? Because here's the thing. PlayStation is so hell-bent on keeping its position of being the top gaming company on the console level and being at the forefront of innovation and all that other stuff. They're so hell bent on that and doing more so than Xbox that they are willing to push out people even at the height of their success. Jim Ryan has so many litmuses under him. We went over them last week. I won't go over them again. Got to check out last week's show. He has so many litmuses under him that predecessors don't even have. He was extremely successful. He has way more successes than failures, definitively. And way more substantial successes than failures. But if he was pushed out, that would say that he failed just enough to where PlayStation just wasn't happy. They felt like that their pedigree was hurt. And they are so hell-bent on quality that they are willing to let someone that successful go. I don't think so. Y'all don't think about this before y'all start hitting the send button on Twitter. If Jim Ryan was pushed out, you got to look at the scenario. That just shows you how driven PlayStation is versus Xbox, who is trying to push and redirect the market to work for a regime that is failing. Think about that. Microsoft is trying to twist how the market works and what determines success, so a regime that has been failing can be seen as successful, opposed to getting already integrating a successful mindset. And it's not working out for Xbox. Not at the time of this recording, it is. And here's something else to think about too. Now with Starfield overhyped, along with Forza failing to reach standards of the sole premier AAA experience under the Xbox helm, gamers now have to question the competency of Xbox. I mean, we still got some that are trying to hold the line with this ridiculous, to get what Xbox promised me on console, I guess I got to get a PC, and they're trying to justify that. But I got two questions for those people. What about the gamers who generally can't afford a PC? That's like 3 times the retail of the console. What about those? And to be honest with you, these folks sound like me before I began moving away from Xbox. They're just going through the progression slower than I have. But in my defense, I didn't have 13 years of failure as a precedent to help lead me to move away. These guys do. And they're still defending these failures. I hope you guys never lead anything in life under the same pretense. And I'm willing to bet that you don't. But for some reason, when you come to this space, all that common sense just goes out the window. Failures are okay. The ways that you normally handle your life just get thrown away here. Up is down and down is up. It doesn't make any sense. Here's the bottom line. Under this current trajectory, from what we've just seen, Xbox is on the heels of losing even more core gamers from its biggest demo. If the takeaway from all this is, well, then now I got to go get a PC. Because guess what? The ones that do feel that way will go to PC. Fine. But the majority of the core that can't afford it, guess where they're going? Guess where they're going? And couple that with the fact that if PlayStation's own integration of cloud, which we already know they got something on the back burner better than Xbox, if their cloud integration starts to skyrocket because the quality of their content is already there, and then they get this PC thing together, because that's one thing that Xbox does have in its favor. is the seamlessness between within its ecosystem. But if PlayStation can start creating that same thing, they're going to end up having a way higher fan base to springboard from. If this trend of, well, I guess I got to get a PC if I want pure value, pure quality, continues. And that's it. Okay, that's our show, folks. What I'm going to do is close out with going to our chat and getting your thoughts, and then we're going to end this. But let's see what the chat thinks. He said, IOG says, I was very disappointed. I fell for Starfield. However, it's in my library, and 12 months from now, I might go back and see what's evolved. By then, Cyberpunk is transformed, for example. It's a reasonable foundation. I've stopped playing after 35 hours, just kind of bored. Detest the story interactions. Yeah. Yeah. And you're not the only one that feels that way. I've talked to Xbox people off the record. Diehard Xbox creators, the same ones that unfortunately are pet. Like there was one who I said behind the scenes, like let's not do the console war talk. Let's talk straight up. Like this is bad, and they were like, yeah, this is bad. Like Starfield, no, I'm not even feeling it anymore. It's just bad. And as soon as we had that conversation, they went out there on the scene and put out some more Xbox rhetoric. And in that same conversation, I said, and the quality narrative, the quality narrative that is acclimated to Forza, it wasn't reached. This isn't good. And they agreed. They said, yeah. But then they went out there and peddled some rhetoric to the folks that are going to gobble it up because they still got to get clicks. They create content. You got to watch out for these people, man. You really do. You really do. I'm not going to name any names because those are private conversations, but you really got to watch out for these people. You are cattle to them. That's why I said I'm not going to play the console war. I'm going to be critical of what I'm critical of. I'm going to praise what I'm going to praise, and whoever says whatever they want to say about it, whatever, come debate me. Come show me and debate me. You're gonna be on a, guess what? I'll give you a hint. You're going to be on a losing end, like everyone else who's tried to debate me on this stuff. That's why when it comes to what I got to say about general gaming, they try to silence me. They try to take what they can to repurpose what they can for their own content, but they try to silence me. Because what do? I tell you, I try to keep you informed, but I do it without all the click this, click that, pay for this, pay for that. That comes beyond. I mean, we ask for support, don't get me wrong, but we're not willing to sit there and wave the flag for anybody for clicks. So what you got with Starfield is pretty much it. They will add some minuscule stuff to make some extra cash from those that are even willing to still play in a year for that Game Pass money. But the only way the game will change is if modders, as bad as it sounds, the modders. They gave the modders a platform, they gave the modders a canvas, and then you can wait for the modders. But from what I understand, if you're playing the game via Game Pass, from what appears the majority of people are doing, you can't use mods. So what good is that? Unless they heavily discount the base game, which I don't see them doing for a long time. He says, I'm in the fortunate position of being able to implement those mods should they surface, but I'm furious Microsoft continues to exploit its power over those invested. Yeah. He said, well, I would have not played Starfield as long as I did without those mods that are already out there. They made me a game just a little bit more tolerable to me. It says Forza and PC falls short on PC also. This is flipping scary. Exactly. Wow. Like they're sacrificing quality, which the Xbox brand was built on. Quality and innovation. For volume. They've completely rebooted to something unrecognizable. So what game are you playing at the moment, Coldblood Sensei? And he says, still Starfield. I'm almost done with all the achievements. After that, it's Baldur's Gate. Yeah, I'm not done with, but it's done taking up the oxygen in the room for me. Coldblood is a completionist. I'm not. Not anymore. I only got so much time, and only so many games can take up that time. So, all right, y'all. With that said, I appreciate everybody. The one player, I've been holding this on for almost a month, but this is a great debate, but it's not, it's timeless. It can go at any time. You know what I mean? So that's why I keep pushing it back. Hopefully we'll have it next week. I tried to squeeze in 4. I think we did pretty good though. We're squeezing in 3. So with that said, I appreciate everybody. Thank you so much. Till next time, have a wonderful gaming day. Peace. And don't forget, check us out on Batissimo. Show us some support, please. We appreciate it. Support this content and you can get loyalty points. Don't forget to do that. Check out the message that we have pinned. Peace.